Black-owned business profiles. This week on the Bob Profiles, NaTasha Cameron discusses how she created the Thomas Williams Property Management Company.
Many years ago, almost 20 years ago, I was in school for criminal justice and decided I was going to, go and try to work in the field. I was working at a school for kids that had like behavioral issues and things like that. But every summer I was off. And so this particular summer I said, hey, let me just go and try to find an administrative type of position. Applied, and one of the biggest property management companies on the East Coast reached out to me and wanted me to come in and work as a receptionist. So I did that. And when I got there, it was just so many things going on. And I'm like, ooh, every day was something different. The phone calls would be different. And I'm like, I think I enjoy this. So I met a young lady who was a portfolio manager, and she was in charge of other managers. And I became really close with her. And she kind of took me under her wing and began to mentor me. And the rest is history. I'm like, I'm doing this every day. So I know I can start my own company. So I've been in business since 2012, but I've been doing property management since 2000. Thomas Williams Management is a commercial property management company. We handle HOA, homeowners associations, commercial, and more. So basically, we are the go-to people that handle the day-to-day operations for community associations. So I don't necessarily make the decision. The governing documents make the decision. I just enforce the rules for the association. I do monthly inspections, which I'm going to do one here today, and I drive to make sure that your property looks good, that you haven't changed the colors, to some pink house, that your grass is cut and maintained, that your flowers are not dead. All of those good things, making sure the trash cans are tucked away and not in front of the house, just making sure that the curbside appeal looks good. So when people are visiting the community, whether it's a potential buyer or just someone visiting, that the community looks good. So right now we have 2 full-time managers, and we're all credentialed. So that's what these buttons here are. So it's either a CMCA or AMS, which is a certified manager, or a associate manager specialist. So we're all credentialed, meaning that we went through CAI to take the continual education courses to make sure that we are the top tier in this industry. And so we have 2 managers. We have each manager is assigned to like a team of admin assistant. We have someone that handles our financials, someone that handles all the closings. And that basically is if someone is selling their home, they need like a resale letter to say how much the person owes and all the stuff that goes on in the community. So we have a person that handles that. And then we have a receptionist that handles all of our calls. We pretty much work from like our own home space because everything is virtual now. We don't really necessarily need a space, but I do want to transition back to a space. Before the pandemic, we were in a space. It was a shared space, but I feel like we've grown to the point where it's time for us to get a space for the staff to be in, for homeowners to be able to come in to see us if they need to make payments or what have you. So that's where I'm going now. I think I want to stay close to home. So I want to stay east of Atlanta, back out in Conyers, in that area. Since 2012, the biggest challenge is probably collections. Collections is the biggest challenge in any community. Many people don't really understand the concept of having an HOA, and a lot of times they'll just say, I'm not paying that. A lot of people go into purchasing a home and not really understand that this is a binding agreement. When you move into an HOA, you have to follow all the governing rules, which includes paying the annual assessments. But getting people to do that sometimes require me to end up in court. Some communities have had a huge delinquency rate because people are really scared in this time. They're like, well, we'll pay the mortgage, but we won't pay the HOA because they don't know what the future holds. Every community is different. It has its own set of governing documents, but I'll say about 90 to 95% are mandatory HOAs, which means you have to pay an assessment. You have to be a part of the HOA. It's a little bit different when you work with, 5 to 7, 3, 5, 7, because that's typically the amount of board members. So it's a little different when you're working with that amount of people, and then you have to come out and deal with, 250 different homes who may have, 2 to 5 people in their homes. So everybody has a different personality. Some people are patient, some people are not. Some people are, are nice. Some people are just not. Some people just kind of demand everything because they pay HOAs, and they don't necessarily understand the concept because they're not on the board, so they haven't really read their governing documents. And that's a big thing. A lot of residents don't read the governing documents, so they just think, hey, I bought a house, I paid for it, this is my house, I can do what I want to do. Main thing I would say is stay very focused and be consistent. Customer service comes first with anything that you're doing when it comes to property manager. I know that it's kind of cliche, customer's always right, but in this field that is absolutely true. The customer is always right. So your job is to come up with a solution, and so you have to be solution based. This is a male dominated field. Typically it's a middle-aged white man that would be the owner of a property management company. Going into these meetings, sometimes as women we're not taken seriously, but for me it's been really easy to navigate, because as long as you know your stuff, then no one can make you feel less than.